Hello and welcome to the PIM session, the third of our video sessions for the course. What we're going to look at today, PIM stands for Personal Information Management, and it essentially revolves around the calendar and the tasks aspects of whatever tool you're using to manage your email. In this case, we're doing it with Outlook 2010. So here I am in the main calendar window. You can see I've selected calendar down here on the bottom left hand side. It's a calendar that's just been created specifically for this training day, so there's not much in it. Along the top here I've got different views that I can look at. So I can look at a day view, okay, and there's a couple of different appointments that have been added in here. I can look at a work week, which excludes Saturday and Sunday. That's the only difference between work week and a normal week. Or I can look at a month. And I can show in a variety of different details. Low detail really is low detail. It doesn't actually seem to include any of the information. So I think high detail is just the only one to go for there. I can also go up and down here. Now what you'll notice happen is that the current month that you're looking at is always in white, and you can see that it blocks out in blue here the previous month and the next month. And as I go down, it's still assuming I'm in the current month, and then it'll get to a certain point where it flicks, and the current month you're looking at will become white. Okay, so that's what's going on with the white and blue cells there. If I was to come down quite far away and I've navigated away from the current day and month I'm in, I can press the Today button, and that will, in whatever view I'm in, take me to the view that best shows today. So, you know, if I go a long way away again and I'm in a day mode, okay, so this is April 10th next year, and I press today, it will take me back in the day view mode, or the week, or whichever mode I'm in. Pressing today will take you back there. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is to just go about creating a new appointment. And I'm actually going to create a meeting. Okay, you've got two buttons here: new meeting and new meeting and new appointment. The difference is just one thing. If you notice, if I press new appointment, there is no invite box. You can certainly get to it by adding invite. So I press the add button there, and now I've got the to field, which is exactly the same as the to field in email. I just close that without saving it, and I press the new meeting button. You'll see it takes us straight away to that appointment, plus pressing the invite attendees. Okay, so if you know that you're going to be inviting other people, go with meeting. If it's just a reminder for yourself, then go with appointment. In this case, we're going to be inviting a few people. So just close out one more time. One other thing you can do is, whichever day you've clicked on and highlighted will be the day that the meeting takes place on. So if you know it's going to be, let's say it's going to be on Friday the 30th, and then I press new meeting. I think I accidentally, I think it's behind, yeah. You can see here that it pre-fills in for me the 30th of November. And it'll go for some automatic start time, probably whatever start time you've put on your working day. So this meeting, I'm going to just change this to 12 o'clock. Let's pretend it's going to be a lunch meeting. So lunch. Where should we go for lunch? We'll go to the deli. Okay, so a little bit of information there. Obviously, if I'm actually sending it out to people, I probably want to flesh it out with a few more details. But I'm just going to invite my colleague Ed at m2training.co.uk. Okay. So that's pretty much all we have to do. All we have to do to fill it in. I do want to be reminded of this, and I probably don't need to be reminded too much ahead. So we've got a reminder option here. But I think the default is set for 15 minutes, and I probably think something like 30 minutes is probably a little bit better, just in case I have to go. You know, the deli's far away, and obviously the further it is away and things like that, you can schedule a reminder. You know, and for things that you need to you know, if you're travelling somewhere, you probably want to be reminded the day before. And this will just play a little alarm and pop something up on your screen just to remind, that's how the reminder works. Play a sound and just show you the information. Okay, so you can set here. I can also, if I'm sharing my calendar with other people, I can mark it as whether I'm out of the office, busy, tentative or free, and I'll show you what these refer to later on. That's for scheduling. And it could be that this meeting is going to be a regular thing. Okay, so it might recur, and we've got a recurrence panel here. And this recurrence panel has been in Outlook for many years, and it hasn't really changed how it looks. Essentially, it's this middle part here is where all the meat of the matter is. And what happens is, if you'll notice, so at the moment it says recurrence every 1 week on Friday. If as I change these different options on the left-hand side, so if I go to yearly, monthly, weekly, daily, the options to the right of them change correspondingly. And you can get incredibly granular with how these work. And you can really drill down to specifics. So this meeting we scheduled, I think, for fictitious Friday, okay? And I could make it just recur so at the moment this is going to recur every week, so every Friday essentially. But that's not really what I want to do. This is going to always be the last Friday of the month. We're going to go for this lunch. So that's going to be a monthly recurrence, so I'll click on monthly. And then you can see the first option here, so I could say always go on the 30th of every month, but obviously the 30th will be a Thursday 1 week, Tuesday the next month. Do you know what I mean? The day of the week will change. So if it's something that's day dependent, I could come in here and I can say, in the actual, by chance, it's actually set up correctly. So it's the last Friday of every month. Okay, and I could change that to 2, and then this would be the last Friday bi-monthly, every 2 months. Okay, so I'll just, and you can put 6 in there, 12 in there, and so depending on so I'll just set every 1 month. And the last thing you probably want to do is just know when you want this to end. Okay, you can have no end date, which is set for, and that will just populate throughout your calendar. From here to the end of time. You can have it just occur 10 times, or you can have it end on a certain date. So I'm just going to say, let's have this occur 3 times. Okay, so looking back, what have we said? So, and I'll show you where it puts it in the calendar, but let's just get our head around it. At 12 PM, okay, on the last Friday of every month, for 1 hour, we're going to have an appointment, and it's going to occur 3 times. Okay, so you can see very, very, very granular. And we can also pick a start date, but we've already got a start date. So press OK. You can now see we've got some yellow recurrence going on here. I'm just going to send that invite. Okay, go back into Outlook. And then here we go, we've got lunch at the deli, okay, on Friday the 30th. Now, hopefully, when we scroll down, the next Friday, the next last Friday of the month is actually on the 28th. Okay, so this is in between Christmas and New Year. Okay, so probably won't actually make that one. Then there's one on the 25th. Again, you can always see it's hitting a Friday here, and that's probably the last one. Yeah, because that's the 3 times. Okay, now, like I say, this one here, this 12 PM one, probably not going to really do that. This 28th of December, we're probably not going to make that one really, because it's in between Christmas and New Year. So I'm going to double click on it. And when I double click on a recurring appointment, it asks me if I want to open this occurrence, so that means this specific one on that day, okay, so just that one, or do I want to open the whole series, which is all of the occurrences, okay, but I just want to open this one occurrence, so I'm going to say okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel that one meeting, and when I cancel it, I'm just saying again, it prompts me. So the whole series is like those 3 meetings that we set up to reoccur every Friday, or the last Friday of the month. Delete this occurrence just means this specific one. Okay, so just this one in December. Press OK, and then because I've already invited Ed, it's now prompting me to send a cancellation to him and let him know that the meeting is cancelled. So that is what I would want to do. Okay, so that's now removed it from my calendar, but it shouldn't have removed the next one. Good, that one's still there. We can see on the 25th of January, and it shouldn't have removed the first one, which we can see here at 12 PM. So let me show you what it looks like to either accept or decline an appointment. Here I've got somebody has sent me an appointment for a Christmas meal. I can actually just click on the Christmas meal. I haven't even gone in to view more about it. I can just from the outskirts of it, so to speak, I've got a bunch of options whether I can accept, be tentative, I'm not really sure, decline, or I can propose a new time. This one's actually set for all day, which we can't see at the moment. Let's go into it. So I'll just double click on it and we'll see a lot more information about the whole thing. This is actually an invite that I've sent myself. How sad for Christmas. And this is this is what a Google Calendar invite looks like going to a Mac, to a Outlook 2010. So lots of information here about what's going on. Notice there's no start or end dates, and that's because it's an all-day event. Okay, and I can't actually change that and specify a time because I didn't create this, or this computer didn't create this. Okay, so what I probably want to do is I probably want to say, well, yeah, that would be nice to go, so I'm going to accept the appointment. And when I click on it, I can edit. I can put in some information. I can send a response now, or I've got the option to not send a response. But this is all about this automated. So I'm going to click send the response. So somebody sent me a meeting request. I say yes and send a response. Now, let's go back into the one that I opened, that I created a moment ago. Now we can see that when we look at the tracking, this says accepted, and that's exactly what we would automatically see from somebody else accepting a meeting. Okay, so the fact that I came in here and manually did it was just because I used a fictitious email address, but that would automatically be accepted and that would automatically appear there. Okay, so that's really good. The last box I want to talk about inside of the new appointment is this scheduling option. Okay, now this only works if each participant, okay, so each person that you're going to invite, if they've shared their calendar with you, okay, which you typically get in corporations, okay, in offices, but you don't typically get just between regular, between people's accounts, okay, but more often than not in an office environment, if you're all using a package such as Outlook, this is probably enabled because this is one of the benefits of it. So let me just show you. We're seeing a big stripy line all the way along here, okay? And that's because we've got no information on Ed at M2 because A, it's a fictional email address, and B, it's not configured that way anyway, okay? However, and you can see that my calendar here, this Dan calendar, it's got a bit of a blue, okay? So this is for us. This is for today, and it's showing me that I'm busy here at 10 and I'm busy again at 3. Okay? Now, if Ed's calendar was also set up the same way, I would see when Ed was busy. Ed might be busy between 12 and 1, between 2 and 3. Okay? And if we had a whole bunch of people to invite, we could come into this scheduling option and we could see all of their timetables. Now, it doesn't necessarily divulge all the information, if you've got a private doctor's appointment or something like that, but it just marks on the calendar that that time is unavailable for a meeting, okay? Which is really, really useful, okay? Now, let me just add one other person, so I'll just add this email address here, okay? And again, we don't have any information back about it. But what I would do, so now let's imagine these are all 3 different people and that we've got different calendar appointments that we can view whether they're free or busy. In the options here, I can come down and I can choose auto pick. Now I can't because it's not configured that way, but that will be taken care of for you. And what auto pick will do is it will go through our calendars and it will find the next time that we're all available for a 1 hour slot, okay, which is just excellent. And so you can just use this schedule, and you don't have to use the auto picking. You can just glance, and so if it are correctly set up, you can see when they're free, when they're busy, and at a glance you can easily find a date that suits everybody, because one of the hardest things for arranging a meeting with a lot of people is finding dates that they're when everybody's free. You know, it goes backwards and forwards. And so the tracking side of it, what that does is that eliminates you having to manually read all their responses, because, you know, say you send it out to 10 people and you get 10 responses, and you know that some of them are you know, have to be there and some don't, and so, you know, if they don't have to be there and they're optional answers, and they've said that, you know, that they've declined to come, for example, then, well, you know, you can maybe go ahead and have the meeting anyway. Okay, so this tracking page is just a nice quick way. You click onto it and you can see at a glance who's coming, who isn't, and whether you need to reschedule the meeting or not. Okay, and to schedule the meeting in the first place, if your office is equipped with it, then you can use the scheduling window to see people's calendars and to see what time slots are available. So what I want to do now is move on to the next section, and that's when we're going to have a look at tasks. Okay? Now the idea with tasks is often what you'll see is you get a lot of people and they've got a whole bunch of things that they need to do, and so they write them all down on a scrap of paper. Then they cross out the things they've done, and then the next day they get a new scrap of paper and they copy the things from the old list that they haven't managed to achieve, and they add some new things onto the list. And there is a school of thought that says that if an idea is stuck in your head, if you have an idea, and you don't record it in a way that you know that you can get back to it, and you know that it's like recorded in a safe place, if you don't do that, you keep thinking about it. Okay? So let's say, for example, that phoning Terry here was something that was really important, whoever Terry is. Okay? If I don't write that down, if I don't just make a mental note that that's, not a mental note, but if I don't make a physical note that that's got to be done, that's going to keep going round in my head. Because my subconscious is saying, well, this is, or your conscious is saying, this is important, you need to do this, so it's going to keep bringing it to your forefront all the time. If, however, you've got a system whereby you can trust it, you can trust you're not going to lose it, and you can write it down, it sort of takes it out of your head, puts it on a, puts it in a trusted place, so that you can go and you can check and you can see if all your tasks are being done correctly. And so that's what the idea with this task is. This is to replace that A4 piece of paper or that back of an envelope that you're writing down your things on. Okay, and so let's show how quickly. So, you know, you get an email, you're on the phone, and you want to create a new task from it. One of the things you can do is you can just click in this task box here. I'm just going to say order paper clips, because obviously that's very important. Press return, and straight away that's dropped it in here. We can see that I've got a new task. It's not got much information about it, but I've just fired it out. Okay, I've just got it out of my brain onto here. Okay, now we might want to put in more information about this, so I can double click on it and I can say, well, I've got to order more information, I've got to do it by Friday. Okay, and do you know what, I've actually made some inquiries onto it and I'm 25% of the way through this. Okay, so I'm going to save and close that. Okay, and now you can see that the status has changed to in progress. Okay, I've started this, I've got a whole bunch of here that I haven't started, I've got some due dates. Due date in red here, that's showing me that I've missed it. Okay, but actually I have actually done it, so what I can do is I can come over here, and this is really quite satisfying. I put a little tick in the box and it just strikes it out, just like you're doing on your notepad when you finish doing something. It's the most satisfying bit of doing a job, often, sometimes ticking it off. So this way you get both the tick and the line through. So let's go back into our order paper clips and just see what else we can do. So I might not actually, I mean, I'm saying I've already have started this, but I didn't actually start it today. I actually started it on the 19th. Okay, so a little bit more information in there. And I can just go, Terry has the details. Okay, so we can put in more information there. So it's a little bit like a calendar appointment. Again, a little bit like an email, I can specify whether it's high or low importance. Okay, and I can save as close. Now, the penguin here, we can see I've got to send the penguin back, and I can also see from a glance it's high priority. But I actually realise that, do you know what, this isn't a task I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to delegate this task. Okay, and to delegate a task, so this is lovely. So if you've got people that you need to send jobs for them to do, then you can, again, you can just write down your ideas nice and quickly, and I can assign tasks to people very much like inviting them to a meeting or very much like sending them an email. So I'm going to get Ed at M2 Training to send the penguin back, and I'm going to say, please return to Iceland. Okay, so I'm going to save and close that, and now that information will appear on Ed's task list on his computer. Okay, now some of these other ones, by the way, that we're noticing that are already been completed, these were done by assigning them through the mail contact. So let me just show you. We've got an email here, an out of office email. If I click on my to-do list, if I click on my follow-up tab, okay, it puts it in my to-do list, so I've got to come back. When I go into the task section, okay, I can see that this out of office, so whatever the subject of the email is, gets put in my tasks list as well. So this is just like, it's a reference, it's very good really. You can if you use the system of throwing things in here as fast as you can, okay? So any ideas that I come across, I just type them in here, and it's just, I type a line, I press return. It's really, really fast to enter that. And if along with that you mark any emails that you've got to do with the follow-up flag, okay? So I can flag the message on or off, okay? Then this task list becomes very comprehensive and becomes very very useful to you. Because you've got all these due dates, you can then start doing clever things like saying, well, what do I have to do today? What has been assigned to me that I've said I will get done today? So what have I got to do over the next 7 days? I've got various different options of different viewing things. Where have I gone wrong? What am I overdue with? There are no items overdue. Okay, I think that's because I thought I did have one. But I've marked it as being done. So let me unmark the ordered chips. Just making a bit more room. In fact, let me unmark that. So now I've got 2 items here. So if I go again to see overdue, I've got 2 things here that are overdue. So I can change the viewing, I can change the way I view it. I can see which tasks I've assigned, or which tasks I've been assigned, okay? There's a whole bunch of options here. Now, one of the last things that you might get, so if I'll just go back, so the detailed view at the top is probably the most useful, okay? We can, of course, assign tasks, as we just looked at about sending the penguin back. So I go in here and I see it's been assigned to Ed, okay? I can also, often the things that you have to do, you've been assigned to do. Okay, so let's imagine that phoning Terry, let's say my boss told me that I had to phone Terry. Okay, and let's say that I've tried to call him, but no answer. So I'll just make a note of that, tried to call, but no answer. I'll show you why I'm doing this, okay? So obviously the more information and things you put into these tasks, the more useful they are. And we've looked before at a moment ago at assigning the task, but the second option here is send a status report. So let's imagine that, and what that does is by pressing that button, I can then send this to Bob at m2training.co.uk. Okay, and what it's done is it's taken all the information that I've got in my task, what my priority is, when I'm starting it, how far through it is, all my notes, and it puts it in an email. So I can very quickly, when Bob rings me up and, or sends me an email saying, how are you getting on with this task, rather than having to copy everything out again, I can just hit, I'll just come out of it, I can just hit send the status report, it fills it all in, I put a name, hit send, and it sends back exactly how far through I am with a certain topic. Now obviously that does bear in mind that you keep up to date with certain things, but as long as you're keeping up to date with your tasks, then they can be a really useful, really good resource to you. So there we have what we need to show you today about tasks and calendars. And finally, there's a few questions at the end of the unit. I'll just read through these. So the first one says, how do you keep your contact information up to date and why is it important? There's various ideas about creating new contacts or maybe amending the details that you've already got. Why they're important, well, I'm sure there's lots of reasons, but mainly is if you actually want to contact the person again, then you need to keep everything up to date, otherwise nothing's going to get through to the correct person. The second question says, describe how the calendar functions can be used to manage your time effectively and improve company processes. Well, I'm sure from a lot of the things that you've seen today on the calendar, all about the scheduling, the ways you can view everything, you can set up all the recurring appointments. I'm sure there's lots you can talk about there. The third question says, describe how to use the calendar function, or describe how the use of calendar function can be used to overcome obstacles to effective teamwork and improve team activities. Quite a long question. It's covering a couple of bits of evidence, and what we've basically got is underneath that question we've got some examples of problems that can occur to effective teamwork and to team activities, such as poor communication, unclear goals, poor scheduling. So what you need to do is think of how you can use the calendars and tasks functions to improve those things. So one of the obvious things that jumps out at me there is poor scheduling, where you can talk about how you can use the scheduling item within that we were talking about earlier on, this sort of scheduling item here. Maybe write a little bit about how that could be used to overcome poor teamwork and things like that. And then the last two questions, the fourth one is describe the main risks to security for IT users in terms of personal and data protection. Okay, and what we've done is we've put a list of possible problems, possible security problems that people can encounter. Okay, and so the question says describe. So what I need you to do is take some of the things from the list and describe how they, what they actually mean and how they could affect you. Okay, so for example, phishing is on that list. And so phishing is the idea of when you get an email that's sent to you that looks like it's actually meant to go to you, and they're phishing for some information for your bank details, for example, to get in. So pick a few of the things from the list and describe them. Similarly with question 5, it says describe the type of control measures that policies can put in place to maximise personal and data protection. Okay, and then we've listed. Okay, so this is a big difference. We're listing the all possible answers, but you're to describe them. Okay, so we don't want lists as your answer back. We've given you lists. We want you to describe some of the things from the list and say it's control things that can be put in place. So think of password policies and minimum lengths, and the fact they've got to be upper and lower case. But why is that? We want a little bit of a description there of how those policies and things help. All of those answers should be around about 50 words or more. And if you've got any problems with anything that we've gone through today, then please email or phone your assessor and they will help you in any way they can. All right, thank you very much.